What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another thrilling adventure, an episode in the eternal saga of Chill Touch. Eternal, unfortunately, because we are all trapped in the never ending mortal coil, unable ever to reach moksha, release from samsara. No, we trod and trod through endless human suffering. But at least I get to tread this suffering with my buddies. Today I'm being joined by my friends Omar Najam and Azrael. Hello, welcome, friends.
Hi.
Hello. This makes the Mortal Coil feel like fun.
Right? We're doing our
Yeah.
best.
Makes it better. Makes it more
Yes,
palatable.
that's
Yeah.
right. We are joined by, as I described them, as I described their credits on Instagram, Omar Najam, whom you might know from Dimension 20 or Daredevil, and Azrael, who is a trans girl.
It's true. At least I
What?
have something to my name.
As you have way better credits than I do.
My LinkedIn is working.
So if you're only someone, Omar was in the writers' room on this most recent Daredevil season. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing, thank Omar, and if you're not enjoying it, someone else wrote that episode.
Yeah.
That means I will say someone else did write the episode. I got no episode credits, but but it was a very good time. My name appeared in the last episode, just a little like outside. I
Yeah.
checked a couple Easter egg videos and like no one
Oh
said
yeah.
anything, and I went, "That's
Oh
okay, that's okay."
That's okay. It's fine.
But my
Yes.
last name has like a Marvel fandom thing.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Because of this episode?
because of that. So it's like it's not like no one's attached it. It's just been like this mysterious person is a
Who?
lawyer. And I was like,
Oh,
cool.
I see. All right. Hell yeah. I love that you could become the next Stan Lee.
Fingers
Yep.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
So my wonderful viewers here on Chill Touch, if you only know me in this stream, if you joined us because you're a fan of Ross Bryant or Zach Reno or Mary Lou, you might not know who Omar and Azzy are. In which case, that means you missed the hottest podcast of last year, Riverdale Season 6, the Riverdale Season 6 rewatch podcast, starring me and Omar Najam and Azzy. So you should know us, is what I'm saying. We're very famous.
Very.
You don't
Everyone,
have to.
I got to New York and everyone went, "Oh my God, you're Azzy from the hit podcast Riverdale season 6."
You're Azzy from the audio only podcast, Riverdale Season 6.
Yeah.
We recognize you immediately.
You were just strolling down Broadway.
Oh,
People were
Miss Mick,
stopping you.
you don't have to suffer through anything. First of all,
Mm-mm.
because Riverdale Season 6 is a beautiful piece of art, so there's no suffering involved at all. And second of all, because you can just enjoy listening to us talk about it to our guests who've also not seen Riverdale.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Chill Touch. And as our viewers know, on Chill Touch, we limit ourselves strictly to only talking about whatever's on our mind. So, Omar, Azzy, I know we call ourselves, Chill Touch is an improv team. It's me, Ross
Yes.
Bryant, Zach Reno, and Mary Lou. We perform at UCB. We're going to be back at Gen Con this year. We do D&D inspired dice-based improv. The stream and YouTube channel Chill Touch is something that I annoyed my teammates into letting me start. Knowing full well they're very busy people who insisted on reminding me I won't be free every Thursday at 10. And I said, but the algorithm and the viewers require consistency.
Yep.
So I don't care. You come when you can come. And if not, I'll get my friends. And I'm lucky to have wonderful friends. So, my friends, welcome to Chill Touch, the podcast,
Thank you.
YouTube, live stream talk show where you can talk about anything. What is on your minds?
I mean, we were just talking about Saved by the Bell.
We were talking about Saved by the Bell.
Which I feel like is pretty logical. I feel like that's like
It's a good
in the
starting
zeitgeist.
point. It's
Yeah.
really
I like it.
Nothing's hotter right now than Saved by the Bell. Everyone's talking about
Christian
Zach
commentary.
Morris.
I feel like
You
people
wanna
are
rest
gonna
mama.
accuse us in the comments of just like riding trends and, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, this was scripted. Yeah, we did that.
I
Wagoner.
watched Saved by the Bell because it was topical.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you thinking about Saved by the Bell? Ozzy, had you seen it before?
I've seen every episode of Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Um, um, I have
Ozzy, how
seen
is
it.
it that you're what, 21?
Yeah,
How have you seen everything ever made?
because
As
that's
he's
all I do apparently.
as he's 21, but her painting that's aging is 300 years old.
She just has her painting set up in front of someone's, oh, shit, what do they call that streaming thing people use to share illegally download footage?
Kazaa?
Not because
LimeWire?
what year do you think it is, Omar? Ozzy wasn't
I don't
even
know.
born yet.
I don't know.
No,
I
it's
can't keep
it's
track of
like
the
it's
timeline.
like a Roku or an Apple TV, but it's like a private server. Doesn't matter. My joke is ruined anyway.
Yeah, it's gone.
This is cool.
Okay,
Private Roku.
Ozzy, you're
Yeah,
21.
yeah.
Do you consider yourself Gen Z or Gen Alpha?
I'm Gen Z.
Okay.
You say that with
Um,
disdain. There is
well,
some
cause,
disdain.
cause I'm born within the ranges of Gen Z. Um, so like, yeah.
Yeah, we're chasing clout.
We're chasing clout. I'm Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is still like something that I don't really know.
Mhm.
I limit as much of my time that I can spend around children as possible. I'm not a
Mhm.
child hater. I'm
Sure.
not um but
You consider Gen Alpha children.
yes.
That's gonna come back to bite you, Azzy.
No,
How old is Gen
double down,
Alpha now?
Azzy. I'm here
How
with
old is
you.
Gen Alpha now?
I'm
They're
just
like
saying Gen
probably
Z is not learning any lessons from what happens to millennials. You have to
uh,
ingratiate yourself with the younger generation if you're to
I
stay as
no, I
cool as
like
long as you can. You gotta be skibbity toileting.
trust me. My friends are well brain rotted enough.
Do your
The
Me,
friends say
oldest you
skibbity?
the oldest you could be to be Gen Alpha right now would be you'd be 15 years old. Um,
Okay.
Well, I mean, I've been going to the Minecraft movie screenings all around the country
Yeah.
to
wait, no,
celebrate with my
okay, wait, no,
fellow
no, 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 no.
Gen Alpha brethren.
Have you actually gone and seen the Minecraft
I
movie?
haven't. I'm too scared of getting COVID.
Of course not, Azzy. I'm not gonna
I
get
so
COVID for the Minecraft movie.
I didn't go and see the Minecraft movie. However, my friend did have a copy of the pre-CGI cut that I watched 15 minutes of.
What?
Um, and that was pretty awesome. It does so it's a cut of the
Amazing.
movie that doesn't have finished CGI.
Mhm.
And it really I honestly I don't feel like it probably would change my enjoyment of it at all. Um, and and I had a good time watching it. It's very yeah, all the Gen Alpha memes. I don't really know them too well.
Azzy,
Um,
I feel like you blew past something important.
I okay.
Do you have friends who have watched and enjoyed and reference the Skibbityverse?
No.
Okay.
Um,
You just hit it.
I have a friend who references it in like an
Ah,
ironic way,
I see.
Mhm.
which is
Dangerous.
yeah.
You start playing a character and you wake up as the character.
Yeah. So and that character is just kind of a college student. Um no, I don't have like friends who like straight up watch Skibidi Toilet or
Mhm.
anything. But I did go to like a superstore and saw some Skibidi Toilet blind bag toys.
You'll never
Um
know which toilet you get.
Okay, I feel like we're circling the real issue here. We're avoiding it. We all know we have to. This is what we have to talk about.
yeah.
Azzy, for history's sake, for historians in the future, the date is April 17th, 2025.
Yep.
It is.
Azrael, please tell us, what does it feel like to be a 21-year-old trans girl living in the United States?
I don't know. I really can't give an actual response to that.
Because we're being
'Cause
monitored.
well,
Yeah.
because we're being monitored, but also I live in Ithaca, New York.
Don't tell people that, as
It's not hard to find. It's not hard to find. I'm not gonna give my direct location, but that bit about me is not hard to find. Um, and I feel like I left. I feel like I left Ohio and the strangeness of Ohio and
Mhm.
went to like woke school in woke city.
Mhm.
Um, and
Which would be a
like
great show, by the way.
which would be
It's a
great.
great pilot title.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's and I so like yeah, I'm crushed by the like general energy that's cycling.
Mhm.
But
It's such a sick joke, Sarah.
Sorry, everyone.
uh,
That's not a real address. I made it up.
and I don't know, I have had straight up like culture shock based on how accepting things are here as opposed to back in Ohio. So
Mhm.
like I don't know. I it's it's weird to be like it's something I'm super aware of and I'm still like fighting the good fight.
Mhm.
But I do feel like I'm in like a safe area.
Totally.
Um so like I don't
Which is
know.
good. I'm glad you feel that.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you are in a safer area.
Yeah, no, it's it's pretty chill here. It's crazy. It's crazy by the way that people ask pronouns in like in like settings now.
That's great.
Um that's
Yeah.
crazy. I had an awesome interaction with a guy on my first day here who also was clearly very new to Ithaca, New York, and we were doing a little pronoun circle as we do, and he went he him and then looked at me and like started to mouth like the normal ones, um and then I gave him just kind of a whatever, brother, like wherever your heart takes
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
um and then he just kind of nodded and stayed silent for the rest of the encounter. um yeah, so it's chill here, honestly. I'm doing all right.
That's great.
I'm so happy to hear that. That makes me very, very happy, Azzy, because it's terrifying.
Yeah,
It's
well, yeah, I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
And like that's obviously like everywhere, but I don't know.
I do love
I'll keep fighting.
I do love cis homies glancing over and questioning the the he as if like I'm saying the wrong answer. I just kind of really dig that
The
energy.
normal boy ones, you know, the normal boy ones.
My
Follow that line of
pronouns
questioning.
are them, yours.
No.
Fuck, wait, let me do it again.
Wait,
My pronouns are you, your.
am I locked in?
That was like such a sick gender identity, though.
You,
Uh,
your?
if someone
Second
like
person.
if someone legitimately was like, no, like honestly, I look inside myself and I simply feel like a reflection of whomever I'm talking to.
Uh,
Listen, I know a couple people who, if they said that, they would be being honest. So that's
yeah.
I know that people have like unhealthy, toxic learned behavioral patterns that function that
Mhm.
way, but I mean like genuinely, like I am become mirror of you, like Mystique. Like Mystique's pronouns might be you, your.
Mystique's pronouns might like Mystique and like I know Morph is canonically they them. canonical. Yeah, because Rogue references it in episode 8 of 97, season 1. But they were only on the team 30 seconds before we threw them to the wolves. Yep. Okay, I think that's the exact line. I watched it last night. This isn't like me pulling it from like years ago.
Why did you ruin the magic trick, Omar?
I watched Saved by the Bell today. If we're pulling if the prestige is out in the open.
We don't have to age. As he's watching Saved by the Bell, I'm watching X-Men the cartoon. Like, we don't have to do anything.
I do actually. The Disastrous Life of Psyche K.
Look,
I hate to hurt the aging comment. I watched it in a history class. So
yeah, it's good. One time we didn't watch Buffy in a history class, and I got so upset. They're like, it's between Buffy and Ally McBeal.
We watched clips of Buffy.
You watched clips of Buffy?
We watched clips of Buffy today, and we watched full episodes of Buffy for homework.
What clips?
Right, you're in film school.
We don't
I was trying to figure out what's going on for this whole stream with why are you watching Saved by the Bell in class, and now it's all coming together.
Listen, in order to best understand Alan Greenspan's economic policies,
yeah. We watched just a clip of Buffy and Giles. That's the dude in the library, and it's just from one of the first episodes because we watched the first 2 episodes for homework.
Giles, one of my first TV crushes of all time.
Oh wow, that's cute.
Homework. Watch 2 episodes of Buffy.
It's not easy, Sarah. I know it sounds.
I didn't say it was easy. I just said it
is insane. I do. Yeah. No. There's weird clickiness around the different majors. Of film majors are like the movie watching major.
That checks out.
Whereas like TVDM is they're more like production, and then screenwriting is like the smart ones, and it's like, all right,
screenwriting is the smart ones.
This is Sevy. SEVVY.
Sevy.
Severance the cat.
I want to give you little kisses on your forehead.
Not named after the show. Don't you dare start that rumor, Azzy. And this is his brother Piro. P-I-R-O.
After Severance, the show.
After
that one is. Thank you. That's why it's important to get it right.
Whoa,
Piro. We could talk about Saved by the Bell and Buffy clips all day. I do want to ask a question to our beloved host here, Sarah Kaplan.
Yeah, for sure.
You posted a little Instagram reel thing about this, but I thought we'd go right to the source. Edinburgh, how you feeling? Come on.
Edinburgh?
Be honest with us. I
think it's worth. Look, here's the thing. Will I be able to get back into the United States? Unclear. I think probably.
Yeah.
I think if I went to Scotland and came back, they'd probably let me in. I think most likely though, they would definitely, as I went through customs, take my passport. Yeah. Unless it was like a real chill border agent, which I'm not rolling the dice on that one.
Gives you a little fist bump.
Famously real chill.
Yeah. But I have had my name and gender marker legally changed. And that means my passport has a different name and a different little letter next to the gender word. And I haven't heard this confirmed. It's just I don't want to risk it. I'm pretty sure they'd take it. And what I'm not pretty sure about is that they would I'm not pretty sure they'd give me another one.
Right.
That's what concerns me. Because who would do that? In what functional part of this bureaucracy would someone be like, yes, now it's time to send Sarah Kaplan a new passport? Yeah, that person was fired by Elon Musk. So,
but we were all benefiting from the money that we saved from that. So I appreciate it.
So I'm really trying to decide, like, Edinburgh Fringe would be really cool. I'd love performing for Scottish people, and I did some like great things to post about on Instagram. But once I come back, I might be trapped in the United States with no way to cross any border legally. In which case, like, well, I might need to escape this country at some point or flee. So I'm really on the fence about the relative weights here on each side of the equation. Um, I mean, the other option is go do Edinburgh Fringe and never come back, or
Right.
at least
An
until things
option.
change, right?
I
I
think that's the
do
origin story
have
for Bono.
I do have a lot of friends and loved ones here in the United States. My whole family's here. I
Mhm,
don't have family really outside of the United States because my
mhm.
family on my dad's side has been in the United States since 1901. Even people we're Jewish, so people assume we haven't been here that long. My most recent ancestor on my dad's side immigrated to the United States in 1901. On my mom's side,
Mhm.
uh, my mom's family has been in the United States since the second wave to Jamestown in 1637. Before it was the United States,
What?
yeah, I literally had ancestors in the Virginia House of Burgesses. I had ancestors in the Revolutionary War. Like, uh, I
I believe this is true. A friend's ancestor is like somebody who died on the ship and got like pushed off into the water.
on the crossing of the Delaware.
Yeah.
That's very funny. So it's it's to me like people are there is good advice if you're a trans person watching this and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? Look, if
Mhm,
you want to leave the country and you can, I think we're genuinely at a point right now where if you're planning on doing it down the line, maybe just fucking do it.
mhm,
Yeah.
Um, uh, if you don't want to leave the country yet because you have friends and loved ones here and you don't want to give up on fighting for your community and all that good stuff, um, or you just don't have money, then but you can get a second citizenship somewhere if you can like especially get an EU citizenship or literally anything you could get, like start working on that a month ago. Um, uh, I can't because my family has is
You're too
I
damn
know
American.
I know
Yeah, too
we're
damn
immigrants. I'm not
Mhm,
saying I'm indigenous, but I'm saying my family is unfortunately just straight up American at this point.
Yeah.
So like it's yeah, I'm about as trapped with the identity of American as a white person can be.
mhm, mhm,
And that's my situation. But like my whole family's here. Um I mean it is to the point my parents live in Texas. I grew up in
mhm,
Houston. And my older brother and his wife live in Texas. They have a baby. My grandparents, who are older, live in Texas. And I went back over Christmas break, even though I didn't really want to already. I was like, I don't want to be in Texas. But I went back because it might be the last time I could see my grandparents, or it might be the
mhm.
last time for a long time I could see my nephew or my parents. Um, and I'm very glad I did because, like, there's no way I'm going back to Texas right now.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Um, like, we're at the point where because I come from an solidly, comfortably upper middle class family, like my dad is a doctor, my mom is a teacher, and I'm still very close with my parents because I'm very lucky in that way. Like my parents, uh, just as much as we are American, we're fucking Texan. I'm a seventh
mhm.
generation Texan on my mom's side. My mom's family's been in Texas since 1853. My
What?
dad, on my dad's side, I'm a third generation Houston born Jewish Texan. Like I, we're way solidly, significantly more Texan than Ted Cruz or whoever the fuck any of these other people are. Um,
Canadians
and
like Ted Cruz, yeah.
right, my mom's parents, my granddad was in the Navy. They were living in Hawaii when
Mhm.
my grandma was pregnant with my mom. They flew back to Texas so that my mom would be born in Texas
And not Hawaii.
before and then went back to Hawaii to
Yeah.
finish out my grandfather's naval service before, moving back to Texas to settle there. Uh, like, that's how fucking Texan my family is.
White
'Cause that's a
Texas.
Texas
And
baby. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
Texas baby.
That's God damn it, will it be
yeah,
a
That's a
Texas
100
Texas baby.
baby.
100%. It was the same. My, uh, my parents were living in Saipan
Mhm,
when my mom got pregnant with me because my dad was working as a pediatrician in Saipan,
mhm.
and they fucking moved back to Texas so that I would be Texan. Like,
'Cause that's a
it's a
Texas
it's a
baby.
thing. Uh,
Yeah.
and they are looking into just moving to LA so that they can be somewhere where I can like safely
Oh my gosh.
see them.
Yeah.
And leaving Texas, my dad leaving his 3 brothers, leaving all of his nieces and nephews, all of his friends, everything that he's known and grown up with, because it's not
Mhm.
safe for me to go back there right now.
Right.
Like, that's that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. And that's where we're at if you're an extremely lucky, privileged person like me who comes from a hyper supportive family with means.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's kinda how I'm thinking about Edinburgh Fringe right now.
Edinburgh
Um,
Fringe situation.
the show is great though. It went so well.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah. No, I have the best parents. I'm very lucky. Um, I'd
You're
never done a
talking
one-person
about
show before,
Mhm.
and it was so fun. Turns out, as much as I love improv, it's also nice to be on stage and, like, not have to think about other people or how well you're sharing time and space.
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Not when you're
I
gonna
enjoy,
walk on stage and be a waiter who gives out water in order to
yeah,
contribute to a scene.
when's the right time? When do I are they gonna establish are they gonna establish a setting here? Are they gonna establish what is the audience watching? Fuck it, they need water.
We need
I
water.
need
That's
fucking
every
water.
improviser ever.
And as you walk out, of course they go, "This is a great park bench."
Yeah, that's my, these days when I'm a waiter, I specific if I'm gonna do like, it's clearly a restaurant,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna bring water.
Oh.
I'm gonna fuck it up a little bit.
Whoa, 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 okay.
I'm gonna bring the check.
Sarah. That's so good.
I think that's powerful.
That's so brilliant. I've done improv for far too long. I've never seen someone come out as a waiter and give the check.
It's yeah, I made it up, pretty sure. Um,
I think you're the first person to do it.
It's so good. It's such a power move. All right,
yeah,
here we go, folks. Wrap it up.
yeah,
How you
yeah,
want to
let's
split
move
this?
on. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do 2 tabs. It's just not how the POS works. It's just
I'm going to a birthday party tonight.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to give away the location or where I'll be later, but it's where birthday parties happen.
Oh.
And
into Dave and Buster's in Monrovia.
you're not too far off because I love
Okay.
Monrovia, the cultural hotspot of California, in my humble opinion. It's gonna be no, it's a Margaritaville, and we my friend loves Margaritaville, has a birthday party at Margaritaville every year. Not on the
I love
same
Jimmy
day though, so
Buffett.
don't try to catch us next year. Sneaky, sneaky. But last year, so many people came through, and then the bill came, and the person's like, "We can't split this," and it was like, "This is hundreds of dollars. Like
Yeah,
this is wild." And people were just like, "Yeah, we'll Venmo out," and I was like, "No, no, no! Like no one leaves. Barricade the door. We're solving this problem right here." Like,
yeah. Who has just the spare $823
yeah.
they can part with for a few days?
I was like, this is absolute like what this is wild. Fortunately, like one of our friends was like, I'll get the points. And we are like,
Yeah,
wow, you're really
yeah.
cool. But I was just like, we can't, this is too much. I can't believe that we're stressing about this at Margaritaville. This where things are supposed
We're
to
supposed to be whisking away.
yeah.
Yeah. Whisking away? Isn't it wasting away as in
No, it's
Yeah.
a baking song, isn't it?
Whisking away.
I always misunderstood it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Margaritaville, if I'm not mistaken, is about macarons. So
It makes so
Yes.
much sense. It is coming together. Of course.
beautiful song.
Named after the inventor of the macaron, René
Emmanuel.
Magritte Marguerite, the French baker. Yeah. Um. Ah, God. I missed you too.
Missed you.
I miss you
I
both as
missed yeah.
well. This feels right.
Um.
We're back. It's wild for us to talk about ourselves and not about the most unbelievable plot.
I
And
know.
that's
We're
only
not
one
built for this.
People in the chat, if y'all have any questions about anything whatsoever, we will answer them, guaranteed.
If
Yeah.
it's about film, it'll start a rabbit hole.
It will.
A rabbit hole
Which
that I
is
will
that you'll
look
nod along to.
sort of uh I don't even know how I will look at it. With sort of a combination of boredom
Mhm.
and like genuine like um awe, I would say.
Can I tell you a funny thing that's
Oh.
happened because of the Riverdale podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so I so we
You got
got
a
to
book
have
deal.
we g we got to have Vic
Okay.
Michaelis on, obviously,
Yep.
right? And so Vic follows me on Instagram now, and obviously Vic's massive, right?
Mhm.
Fix a
Um,
normal sized human.
sorry, Vic's Galactal, Vic is playing Galactus,
That's true.
um,
And they actually had to
and they do
CGI them
reverse,
smaller.
yeah. Um, no, I've had 3 individual people, either DM me or come up to me,
Mhm.
because if there was a target market for Dropout,
Mhm.
it is here in Ithaca, New York.
Beautiful.
Um,
Ithaca
uh,
Film School.
yeah, so if I have had 3 individual people come up to me and go, "Hey, why the fuck does Vic Michaelis follow you?" And I have to go, "So let me tell you about the Riverdale."
Yeah,
Um,
the Riverdale of it all.
um, and
Well, it all
and
started when it was the perfect juxtaposition of an act of love, an act of science, and
The confluence of the following events.
I don't wanna hear it, I don't wanna hear it, I don't wanna hear it.
That's I've had so many
Yeah,
people ask us if we're gonna finish the Riverdale podcast,
I have had people ask me as well.
and I
Um,
enjoy telling them no.
Oh, I
yeah.
love that. And then you bring them their check.
Yes. We got a question in the chat for each of us to answer.
Mhm.
What's our
Um,
deal?
I've had a long time to share my deal, so what's y'all's deal?
Omar, what's your deal?
Ooh. My deal is that I was a kid growing up in the outskirts of Silicon Valley, making
Mhm,
little sets out of cardboard
mhm.
and recording things on a little Canon ZR90. And then the digital age happened and I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to like fake catching up. But when I don't know, when I get to play like D&D or something on the internet and then people are just like, "I watched that." I'm like, "How?" That doesn't well, you weren't there. And that's kind of my deal. That's if I
Heard it on
ever
the radio.
if I ever
Yeah,
seem yeah, genuinely it perplexed. Like, I still haven't quite wrapped my head around the fact that the Titanic sank, if that makes sense, or I'm just like, "Surely that couldn't have
which is
happened."
crazy because they said this ship will never sink.
They
That's what
did, yeah.
the last I
And
heard about it.
that's what's really fucking
Yeah,
Omar up.
I'm like,
yeah.
it was supposed to be
Is they built the
unsinkable.
ship Titanic, and when they were through, they said, "Here's a ship that the water will never get through."
Yeah.
I guess the Lord Almighty hand said, "This ship will never
Mhm.
land." It was sad when
Yeah.
that great ship went down.
My
Couldn't
school put on Titanic the musical recently.
not
Oh,
Titanic or just Titanic?
Just Titanic the musical.
that's a
Oh,
Um,
choice.
it
Is
is a
it a
choice.
musical version of the movie Titanic or of the historical event?
No, I believe the historical event. I didn't go
Okay.
see it, sorry.
Alright.
I wonder what that musical's about. I mean, I know what it's about. It's about Titanic, I
By
suppose,
the
but, like,
boat.
what's the
I think it's like
story?
a Romeo and Juliet forbidden romance between Ship and Berg.
Shippenberg probably
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's
like,
not based
"We
on the
can't be
movie.
together, thousands of people will die." But then in the end, they defy society,
And then do it anyway,
and
and
they
now they're together
embrace.
for forever.
Oh,
Holy
then
shit.
it turns out the ship sank and the iceberg can't sink because it's buoyant, and that's the real
Oh.
tragedy.
Oh my god. It's like the end of the Final Fantasy movie.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
no,
Never
it's a
seen it,
little
but I
different.
assume. I think it's exactly the same.
Okay.
It won 5 Tonys, apparently.
Alright,
What
let's
year?
1997, and it ran for
Oh,
804
I mean,
performances.
what was it competing against?
wait, 99 that's shortly after the movie came out, right?
I think so.
It is not related to the 1997 film of the same name.
It came out the
Whoa.
same year. Yeah, what the heck?
They got lucky.
Hey, they were up
Honestly,
against
What?
Jekyll and Hyde.
to
Oh,
beat Jekyll
Jacqueline,
and Hyde?
that's actually
Yeah.
wild.
That's wild. Damn. The Jekyll and Hyde confrontation song is arguably better than the Les Mis confrontation song.
Because it's internal.
Oh, crazy new question.
Mm-hmm.
For each of you, do you have an artistic regret, i.e., show you wish you weren't a part of, a project you loved until it flipped, etc.? What was it, and why do you regret it?
Boy,
Oh,
that's a
I
good
absolutely
question.
do. But I just answered, so
Azzy,
Okay, yeah, let me
our
look at
most
my
credited
scroll of
individual.
things I've done. Um, um,
I'm still going down your IMDb page. This is extensive, Azzy.
it's
You
it's
know you
just
don't
all
have to
my
list every Snapchat.
Talent cinematographer,
I don't
writer.
know. I haven't done really anything. I
Azzy
like
is a 21-year-old film student, if you missed that fire in.
yeah, I haven't really done all that much.
It's gonna be the Riverdale podcast. I just know it. I'm just
Has to
waiting
be.
for it.
I have huge
Just wait.
regret, huge regret.
People keep
I
asking me
have
about how big Vic Michaelis is.
I've made some like student film stuff that has been interesting.
Mhm.
Um it's always difficult working with like people.
Yeah.
Like that's such
That
a
checks out.
basic concern, but like I don't know, everybody comes to projects with different wants and different levels of investment and
Mhm.
Mhm,
interest,
mhm.
and that can be difficult to manage. I'm in a
Especially when
band now.
everyone is like, late teens, early 20s,
Yes.
and college is such a weird setting because so many of the
Yes.
people you're working with were probably, like, the artistic,
Yep.
creative movie
Yep.
kid, wherever they're
Yep.
from. Yeah, tell us about your
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, band's pretty good. And you're sold. And you're sold now.
I can't wait. This is
I'm
I
in a
great.
already
band.
bought 19 copies of your CD.
In a band in a band called The Brood. Um, and we just performed on a radio station, which was a really cool
What?
opportunity. We got to do like a little live show on VIC radio, and that was super fun. However, my band has 5 people.
Mhm.
We then had one person board operating, the other person another person interviewing and asking questions because and like kind of sound opping as well because and he couldn't board op because get this it was part of a 50-hour marathon and he had already been up for over 24 hours, so legally he could not operate the board.
Sure.
Mhm.
um One of my bandmates also had been up for over 24 hours. Uh and
Dude, I can barely
the
be up for 7 hours.
uh and I nobody could hear each other at all.
Uh-huh.
And it was a ton of fun to do, and then they were like, "Hey, we want to release this on our Spotify." And I went, "Can I listen to it real quick?" And I went, "Oh, we don't sound great on this."
Yeah, we don't want
Um,
that.
but whatever. We'll pick it back up. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It just like technicality stuff, but I literally don't do stuff.
Mhm.
So it makes it difficult for me to have a big artistic regret.
Hmm. I know one
Uh,
thing you probably regret.
what do I regret?
I was briefly in a campaign, a D&D campaign as he was running, and
You
it
were.
introduced the big bad guy very early. Uh, and ended up
Oh.
using, I think, the it's one like 7th level spell slot for something that didn't work because she forgot she'd been intending to save it for a big moment later. And
Yeah.
we ended up killing this thing in our first encounter with it because it didn't have that spell slot.
Whole campaign had to pivot. Whole campaign pivoted. Um, that was I don't regret that though. That was fun. That
Yeah.
was a good time.
Well, that's because you can be a good dungeon master.
Yeah.
That's the ticket there.
Yeah.
That's the test.
That's the test.
And you passed.
Can they cut off the head of your big bad and keep it as like a thing to talk to and
Oh my
revive?
god. Oh my
Um,
god.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the test.
That's the way it goes. Lizardman DM would know.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you have an artistic regret? You like really just like, are you feeling in the mood to like burn some bridges?
Yeah. Let's fucking say the real shit. So, I was just cut from my Upright Citizens Brigade Herald team, and I think it's finally time I share how I feel about the artistic directors. I don't know most of them. I don't have any strong feelings either way, one way or the other. The one I do know pretty well, ish, Ali, I think is a lovely guy. From
Whoa.
my few interactions with him, he seems nice.
This is going after the internet, Sarah. Be careful.
I'm
Tread
not holding
carefully.
myself back.
Tread
I'm not holding
carefully,
back.
Sarah.
We're trying. We're trying.
Look, do I think he should have cut me? No, I don't think that. But I don't take it personally. I don't know. Like, so much of my art is improv based that like as soon as you do it, it's gone. That regrets are rarely worth remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have, let's see if I can share any art that I might regret. Oh, have y'all seen my beautiful film Piano Playing Dog?
No, I haven't seen Piano Playing Dog.
Let me share Piano
Maybe-
Playing Dog because that's my one produced short film. Let's see if I have any regrets about it.
Okay.
Let me look it up. Piano Playing Dog.mp4. Okay.
Are you just
Great.
doing a Google search?
No, I'm just searching in my Finder.
Yeah, I did a YouTube search. I'm getting a lot of really cool results. Not gonna lie.
A lot of crazy shit, actually. This is sick.
Getting some really sick dogs playing piano.
Y'all keep talking while I look for
This
Piano
one
Playing
is
Dog.
standing while playing piano and singing along.
Singing along.
Singing along.
In like a howling sense, but the heart's really there.
That's beautiful.
It's one of
You're
his
looking
more
at Piano
somber
Playing Dog?
pieces.
Good for these
Yeah.
dogs. I can't play piano.
Wonderful.
I can't.
You can't play piano and those dogs can?
And they can. I mean, that's
You're
amazing.
telling me you just you suck at piano?
Yeah. That's absolutely
Can
what
you
I'm
sing
saying.
along?
I can howl.
Okay.
So I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
Damn, where's Piano Playing Dog?
No piano playing dog.
No way,
It's
I
been
deleted
wiped.
Piano Playing Dog. Holy shit.
Is there
That's like my greatest piece of art. Y'all keep talking. This is an emergency.
one of the greatest regrets Sarah has is not
Is
finding piano playing dog.
deleting piano playing dog.
This happens like once a month where I curse myself for not having any sensible file organization.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of animals that would be so impressive to play piano. So I'm looking up giraffe playing piano.
That would be
That would be
difficult.
impressive.
No video so far. Let's look at shark playing piano.
Would be quite difficult.
That sounds hard.
No. Someone played.
I feel like that's easier. I feel like shark's easier than giraffe.
I actually agree because they can use their mouths.
So that's not where I. What? A tooth for each key?
Yeah, you know. Carefully
no,
tapping away.
I just
Ants
pictured
playing
the-
piano. Now ants would be hard because they got to be heavy.
Ants, you gotta
Download.
get a lot of ants on one key for it
Okay,
to
we might
work.
be able to do this, everyone. We might be okay.
And they could they'd have to get a lot of ants on any of the pedals.
Yeah. And they can't all travel together at the same time because then it'll just be touching all the keys. So they have to just like slowly move from one to another.
It's like those little like stacking puzzles.
Exactly.
Okay. We're doing it.
Pigs
We're
are
doing
smart.
it. We're
Let's see.
getting it.
Pig playing
Piano
piano.
playing.
Let's see.
I bet a pig could definitely.
Oh
play
yeah, there's
piano.
videos. We got.
Oh
little
yeah.
mini
Oh
hogs.
yeah. Results.
Oh,
for
here we
pig
go.
playing
We got
piano.
pigs.
We got pigs playing piano.
Damn,
cool-
our six live stream viewers are. This
What a
is what they're
cool
here
show.
for.
What a
We got-
cool show.
Y'all, I wish you could see Rupert the piano playing pig.
My favorite thing to do on this show is invite
Some
2
other things
friends
on
last
YouTube.
minute who kindly jump on with me. I give them no guidance whatsoever, and then I abandon them to run the show.
And this is what we do. We've looked up a couple animals
Y'all wanna
now,
watch
no
some
videos.
piano
Few
playing dog?
animals playing dogs.
Now we're
We all
settled
ready?
in.
Wait, no, they're not playing dogs.
Are we ready? Are we ready to watch piano playing dog?
We are ready to watch piano playing
Yes.
dog.
Okay, everyone in the chat, are you ready? All right, I don't care because I don't have time.
This is Central Command. Contacting any officer available in District 14.
This is Captain Bruegel with the 14th Silly Annihilation Squad. What's that? An S-rank silly?
Yes, that's right. An S-rank silly.
What's its name?
Pulling up silly information now. Name?
Piano-playing dog.
How does she already know?
You're new, so I guess you don't know. Piano-playing dog is the silly that took out my former partner, who is also Bruegel's sister. I have visual contact. I've been waiting for you. Annihilating now. She did it.
Oh, come off it, Chief. You know I'm not strong enough to kill that thing. I'm sorry, sister.
Don't be so hard on yourself, kid. Sure, you didn't kill it, but you did enough for our cleanup crew to get it into an anti-silly containment unit. And that's good enough. For now. Your sister would be proud.
Piano playing dog. And watching it back, I do not have any regrets. So
I
There-
see.
Can I ask some creative questions?
yeah.
Why? So
All right, you're
there
a
were
film
both-
student. So yes,
there were-
Q&A.
There were both. There was both you doing mouth sound effects and laser sound effects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stacked. That was
Yes.
awesome. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really a question, but
Yeah, more of a comment, but that's actually how film student Q&As usually work.
yeah. It reminded me of fucking Godard. God, I need people to stop saying it reminds them of things.
Yeah. No, thank you. Man, I forgot I made that. That was good. I should do more scripted content because clearly it's my
Two
forte.
more skits.
It
Yeah, I'll
was
do more little skits.
the John Carpenter elements of it really popped out to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I do want to say that I did everything in that. I wrote it, I filmed it,
No.
starred in it. I even
How
I
could
did
that be possible for one
I
woman?
did the score. I did the FX. Yeah. So
And how long did it take?
that took me at least a couple hours.
How much of that was changing outfits?
Most of it. Yeah.
Sarah, we've hung out like on our own a couple times and we've gotten to like talk just as people. I really need you to know, and this is not hot air. That made sense to me. Like whatever you were doing, I fully got it. Like as someone who grew up
Thank
watching
you.
like Red Dwarf and stuff. I'm
Oh
just like,
yeah.
yeah, man. I completely vibe with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually, I watching it back, I remembered the context in which I made it. I just finished reading the manga. Oh fuck, what is it called?
One Piece.
One Piece.
Probably One Piece. Sarah just
no.
finished it.
Kaiju number 8. I just
Okay.
read Kaiju number 8, and yeah, I love that shit. Is there any plans for the sequel? Well, I don't know if you saw at the end there. Are we sure
Yeah.
that piano playing dog is contained?
It's efficiently neutralized.
Yeah, so that's
We've
silly containment
compromised to a
unit.
permanent end. Piano playing dog.
Yeah, that's my favorite piece of art I've ever made, I guess.
So
The
no
One Woman
regret.
Show is pretty good, but actually I'm realizing it would be worth going to Edinburgh and risking everything for this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
bring people in, I'd sell them tickets to an hour and a half long show. I would play that video,
And then
and that would be
Q&A.
it. I would never. No, I would. Oh yeah, that actually would be so funny. Oh my god, that's actually amazing. I should pitch that to UCB for just a one-off show.
Have I ever told you both about my 2 men, a 1 man performance?
No, I don't believe
No,
so.
It's this terrible idea I have. I'll never put any time or effort into it.
Mhm.
It'll never happen. But it's just 2 1 man plays
at the
booked at the
same
same
time.
venue. So they're just competing.
Omar, I would literally do this with you anytime.
Would
And I
you?
don't. Yeah, and I don't mind if that's an improv show.
Yeah, I don't think it should. Every performance is going to be so vastly different. We have no idea what we're
Yeah.
in for.
I love that so much. We each don't know what we each like that day plan a one-man show, and we don't tell each other
Yeah.
what it is.
And then you just go in and it's just like there's been a screw up. Like there's
Wait,
like a
I
voice in
would
the
literally
beginning.
do it. We should pitch this to like the Elysian Vault or something right
I would
now.
love that.
Oh my god, I'm so
Oh,
down.
let's ask Laser if Laser will host.
Yeah, that
Just
would be
MC
great.
it.
Yeah, like play the booking agent for the theater. When in your life did you realize you were fundamentally different from Fyron, your peers? Was
Right,
that was a little
okay.
joke about the kinds of things I do that made me realize I was different. That made you realize you were different from your peers, and was there a moment?
Oh. Well, for me, it's an interesting question because my family is all very autistic. So
Hmm.
no matter what, whenever I'd come home, I'd be like, this all kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So
This all clusters and checks out.
did it make that harder to realize because, like, within the context of your family, like, you were less divergent?
1000%. I remember like, yeah, because I feel like I'm quite socialized.
Mm.
To like and also like as like someone who presents as a guy, you're allowed to be incredibly autistic because you have like Oscar bait movies backing you up all the time.
Yes. Yes.
You're like very particular about something. They're like, God, he must be smart. I'm like, no, I just can't. My body has trouble with temperatures.
No, it was just X-Men 97 episode 8.
The exact line from Rogue. So I remember when the show Community came out, I didn't know for the first season that Abed was supposed to be neurodivergent. Like I didn't pick up. I don't know if we
That's
talked about this
really
in Riverdale,
funny.
but like I just
No,
didn't
we
know
didn't.
until someone was like, "Yeah, like he represents like neurodivergency," and I was like, "In what aspect?
You
In
know
what
what?
element?
This is just a guy.
He makes
Abed's just
movies."
one of the guys.
You know, like
Yeah,
Troy likes
it's pretty
football,
cool.
Abed likes movies. I don't understand
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. I don't remember in Community, was it less pronounced in the first season, or did they like hit the ground running with that character?
But I think they hit the ground pretty
Looking back, it's pretty
pretty
obvious. Pretty
yeah.
embarrassing that I didn't know.
Yeah. That's one of those shows that I loved when it was new and I was watching it live each week, and I've never had any interest in going back and rewatching.
It's a very rewatchable show, at least for me.
Although now that I say that out loud, that doesn't mean anything because I don't like rewatching shows.
Well, there you
Except
go.
for Riverdale season 6.
Except for Riverdale season 6. Are
mean,
you a rewatcher of anything other than Riverdale season 6?
No, I will,
Oh,
left to my own devices, always
Mm.
pick something I haven't seen,
Wow.
unless I'm showing someone something that I think they would like. I'm happy
Yeah.
to rewatch something if there's someone seeing it for the first time.
Yes. Okay.
Willa is a chronic rewatcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's like her whole thing. So, I have seen every episode of Castle multiple times at this point because
I
it's just
see.
on in my house, for instance. And I've seen the vast majority of Justified. Which,
Okay.
if you didn't know, the protagonist of Justified is a man named Justin Fide, who is played by Timothy Olyphant,
Okay.
who does a better job in the Santa Clarita Diet. But
Okay. We got some opinions here.
yeah, I mean, I think everyone agrees Santa Clarita Diet's a better show than Justin Fide.
Yeah, that's pretty unanimous.
I think everyone's really talking about this.
When did I realize I was different from my peers? Pretty early on.
Yeah.
I always knew I was like a smart kid, but it depends on what you mean by different.
Mhm.
Like I feel like being one of the smarter kids in the class didn't make me necessarily feel like that's within like the like understood range on which people vary. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's traits and like some people are faster and some people are whatever.
Mhm.
Um I in terms of like gender, sexuality things, that my earliest memory peer associated is I remember being on like a little league baseball team. I
Mhm.
don't remember anything else about this team except for this one moment.
I also
Um
have a moment from a little league
yeah.
baseball
I don't know
team.
what grade I was
Really?
in, 3rd or
Okay.
4th or something.
Mhm.
And uh all the boys on the team started having this conversation that in retrospect they were I don't know, they were such young children. They were clearly like mimicking things they'd probably heard siblings or people on TV say, but they started talking about like, Britney Spears is so hot. Like, what is your
I
favorite
see.
part of Britney Spears being hot? And people would be like, my favorite part is her boobs. Or
Right.
like, my favorite part is Britney Spears' is butt. And like, yeah, I wanna, like, touch Britney Spears's boobs, and I was, like, sitting there looking around like, "I'm so confused.
Right.
What is the function of this conversation? What does what it like,
This is so
wait,
relatable. Yeah.
I don't know what it means for someone to be hot.
Mhm.
I think she's pretty. Is that what you're
Mhm.
asking?" Like, but I just kinda didn't say anything because I was just like, "Uh-huh.
She has really good vocal runs.
I've never thought about Britney Spears's boobs." Uh,
Right.
Could I be?
yeah, it was that's
Um,
this oldest memory of, like,
That checks out. That fully makes sense.
performance of masculinity that did not make sense to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
My guess is a lot of those cis boys who were also there probably had a fairly similar experience, maybe because they were like 9 or 10 or something. I don't know how much they were
Mhm.
objectifying and sexualizing Britney Spears. They were just
Yeah.
like, I think the difference maybe is that I was like less even than trans queer stuff is that as like a young gifted kid who cared a lot about like speaking correctly and
Mhm.
like saying what I meant and understanding the world. The fact that I didn't know what hot really meant, like, made it an impossible question for me to answer. Like,
Right.
I couldn't pretend and play that role because I was like, "No, but I wouldn't know what I'm saying."
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I have two different fronts because it's like, when did I realize I was different in a trans way, and when did I realize I was
Right.
different in an autistic way? Um, so like I like not all the kids had made up like the symbols they would draw in the air as they transformed into a Power Ranger in their head.
Uh-huh.
Like not everybody did that. Um, and I've always gotten along really well with dudes.
Mhm.
With like he to the him, dude bro,
Mhm.
like like guys.
Yeah.
I don't know why I get really well along. They just want to chat and I love to chat.
Mhm,
Um so I tend to I'm also pretty open about myself and
Mhm.
things. So they I think people appreciate that. It makes conversation a lot easier.
yeah.
Um and I remember in like middle school, like one of the like popular boys. Um I was playing Magic the Gathering because of course I was.
Mhm.
And I was sitting in this like little patio area. Um and like one of the like popular boys came over. And it was like kind of like making fun of it and like doing some like bully the nerds type stuff, and then looked at me and went, "I'm sorry." And I went, something's odd here, like why am
Uh-huh.
I what's What it, what am I? Why am I a daywalker? Why am I like
Mm-hmm.
why
If I'm
am
gonna
I
be a daywalker, where's the fucking blood rave?
like why am I being like in all these worlds? And I feel that very much with like being trans
Mhm.
of like I still get along super well with like frat bros.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm also like a trans woman.
Mhm.
Um, and uh and like do well in more like traditionally feminine spaces as well.
Right.
So like it's weird having to juggle all that. But I also have a little league experience.
Oh, we gotta hear the Little League.
It's
Which
necessary.
which was I remember playing in the field. I don't remember baseball positions.
Mhm.
I was a baseman.
Okay.
Um, I was any one of them, and the ball went up in the air, and I remember seeing that, and somebody grabbed it, and then I just started kind of looking around,
Mhm.
um, and everyone started shouting at me because I was the person they had to throw it to. And I went, "Oh, okay, I forgot about that. Sorry."
Yeah.
And that was a real kind of setting off moment for me. Um, I don't know. I've always been comfortable with being that outcast a little. Um,
I
so
have as
like
well.
whatever.
Mhm.
Were you bullied as a child, Datsy?
Okay, so my dad taught at the elementary school I went to.
Okay.
So like I was kind of immune because they were like, "Can't fuck with
You
the
get in so
teacher's
much trouble.
kid."
Yeah.
Um, uh, and then in in middle school, kind of, I was basically like brought into like a fake band with like the point to kind of make fun of me. Um,
Oh.
That's
which was a
bullying.
Yeah.
that's
That's
bullying.
not kind of.
That's actually super maniacal.
That's really mean. I'm sorry. And I have bad news about the band you've been in for the last year.
Uh,
But do you take
um,
any solace in the fact that, like, the quote unquote prank took so much effort and time?
Yeah, that's elaborate.
I appreciate that.
That's like Nickelodeon children's sitcom levels
Yeah.
of elaborate.
And in the process of making the band, they realized, like, the error of their ways. You'll have, like, a 3rd episode where
We
everyone has
love
to
being
get
a
along, but then
band.
you reform, and it's better than
And now
ever.
we've united and we've saved the store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I kind of look back at that as like, wow, what a silly thing that happened. Um,
I mean, that's good.
um, so yeah, I was bullied, but I was never really specifically bullied for like being queer. That's okay, that's not true. But
Call it out.
that's
Call it out as he was
I
lying to
I
me.
was more it was more for being like a little nerd, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Um um yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, that's a yeah, that's a good way to put it. Dopey rebel girl won't be able to win battle of the bands.
Yeah.
Um
Uh,
Yeah. I don't know. Were you?
I wasn't bullied. Not
Yeah.
really. Or if I was, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
And I was
Maybe
wondering
you
if
were also in a band.
I, mm, are you
Maybe you
telling me
were
that Galloping Thunder was fake? I I was like when I was younger, I was always reading. I was like so in
Yeah.
my head
Yeah.
about stuff that if someone tried to bully me, I'd be like close my copy of guards and say, "Sorry, what'd you say?" And I think I just wasn't a fun person to bully. I have
Yeah.
always been very good at like staying quite non-reactive.
Yes.
Right.
Me
It's
too.
um I've had a I've been experiencing a strange viral moment on Instagram recently, but that means I've
Hello.
had
Yes.
Mhm.
like thousands of comments on these videos I've been posting, and many of them trolls. And I feel it there too. Like it's just not. I don't get angry very
Mhm.
often.
No.
Um, and when I do get angry, it's rarely at people. Like my brain is very quick to digest anger up into some abstracted systemic level. Uh, and
Sure.
so if someone's like trolling me or bullying me, I'm more inclined to be like, "That's interesting. Why? Why? Like, what's going on
Right.
here? Let's talk about it, bud." Like,
What's going on?
so I think people just found other more reactive targets.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
That's
also,
yeah.
like, in today's day and age as well, it's like so much of that is how certain very sad people like look to connect. And it's just like the only way that they can really think to connect is just like anger, and they're like, now we're locked in this like fight. And when you just cut
Yeah.
that off, you're like, no, you actually don't really matter to me.
Shout out
Yeah.
guy named Johnny. This
So,
guy who spent I swear there were like the first 4 days this reel on Instagram was going off every 3 hours when I would check my phone there'd be like 10 comments from guy named Johnny in all these different flame wars. Like I fully credit him for driving the engagement that pushed this video out. Um, I was just like, dude, do you sleep? It's like Elon Musk levels of like just ketamine abuse or something. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Johnny was just at it.
yes. Bullies don't like it when you like react to them with curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omar, when did you first feel different? We know you had an autistic family.
Yeah, I would say out of everything, 5th grade, Miss Gomez's class, Miss Gomez went,
Shout out.
it was the science fair project was coming up, and she said, "All right, everyone, in order to do a science fair project, you have to find it in a book of science fair projects. So I have a book here of 1,000 science fair projects." And I went, "No." And she went, "What do you
That's
mean, no?" I
fucked
went,
up.
"I'm not doing that." And she was
Yeah.
like, "Why not?" And I was like, "What do you mean, why not? Why are you saying we have to do it?" I got really upset.
Me every fucking
Yeah.
project. I'm a
Dude,
nightmare.
that's so relatable.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I can't. That's what I stood up from those peers. I have since very much found my peers, obviously. Other folks were just like, no. So I went home, and I wasn't like crying or anything. It wasn't like in a huge injustice. Like I experienced some wild racism and religious intolerance in that class. Let me tell
I
you.
was also gonna ask, yeah, I was wondering like because your experience obviously is very different from ours. Like Azzy and I grew up as white boys ostensibly. Like we
Yeah.
Right.
were the norm.
Yeah.
So like in a way you were quite clearly marked out as different from your peers.
I was very different because I grew up in San Jose, California, and I wasn't Vietnamese or Filipino, and that
And that's
did.
not how I expected it to be different. And that's on me for making assumptions.
That's on you. And
And
we'll learn
so
and we'll grow.
there was like an otherizing, but it's really hard to describe outside of like the Bay Area
That's such a
context.
specific experience.
It was like my hair wasn't like I growing.
Oh, we lost your description of your hair. You cut out for us there. Sorry.
No, well, that's called censorship, folks.
Sorry, I cut
Um,
you out because I didn't want to hear it.
I couldn't spike my hair. Like my hair doesn't work with
Oh,
hair
yeah,
gel in
yeah.
that way. I have like this like I have South Asian hair. It does like a thing, and so I couldn't do that. And so, so in an effort to have us fit in, my mom got cheap hair bleach from like a CVS
Well,
and was like, "Let's give you stripes." So I had striped hair for a while.
oh,
I'm
that's
not sure what
weird.
her play was with that, but it was a brand for a hot second.
And your parents are you have like one Muslim, one Hindu parent? Is that what I
That's correct.
remembered?
That's correct.
That and your parents are both immigrants, right?
Yeah.
I feel like giving you like striped bleached hair, that's like pretty out there and open
Oh,
for
yeah.
a lot of my friends because I went to school and knew like quite a few South Asian immigrants as a kid,
Mhm.
and their parents would never have allowed that.
It's so true. It's hard for me to, when, like, wherever we're doing, like, Daisy Quest and stuff like that, I'm aware of a lot of cultural conventions, but I always am playing characters that are outside the conventions because
Yeah,
my parents got married, check it, in Vegas. They were
Oh,
driving
yeah.
through and my dad just proposed to my mom at, like, this, like, street light stop, and my mom went, "Yeah, sure, that sounds great." So then they went and they got married in Vegas, then they went
Oh,
back
yeah.
to England and threw their own wedding in Bedford. They never went back to, like, India or Pakistan for, like, any wedding stuff, and so they're just, like,
they were
outside
already
of.
weirdos.
They're such weirdos. They're such weirdos. My dad like, just takes pictures. Like, he loves photography, to an
Right.
absurd level. He's always just taking pictures. That's how he connects with the world and everything. He has an Instagram, you can find it. And, my mom will, uh we'll go to a museum, and if I've said this before, I apologize for repeating myself, but we'll go to a museum, and my mom will see a Degas and be like, "Oh, how fun." Not take a picture or anything. Just be like, "Oh, wow." And then we'll come home and get just one of the many canvases that is just lying around the house, and we'll just paint it almost brushstroke for brushstroke. And then we'll get about like 90% done, not finish the faces, and be like, "Oh, like we should probably like make dinner and like put it aside." And I'm just like, why are you not selling why are you not selling this? This is
She's
wild.
not an artist, like professionally.
Not professionally, but we have like walls just with like stacks and stacks of canvases. And my dad gets so annoyed, but I'm just like, you also have frames and frames stacked everywhere. Like, I don't know why you both can't, like, you can't judge each other. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's just where we come from. So I am
Does
like,
she have prosopagnosia, your mom?
what a great question. Follow-up question. What is that?
That
Oh,
face
face
blindness?
blindness. Yeah, face blindness.
Oh, no, I don't think she does.
Because I was just wondering if that was such a specific pattern to like finishes the entire painting except for the faces every time. And
It would be so, I, I probably should have said like it's like one element. You're right. That would
yeah,
have
yeah.
been absolutely like the
I know
doctor
I
would
was
almost email
patternizing off of a sample of one, but
it. You would, but like I have that. My dad for sure has that. So it's like a thing where I have to like come up with a fun little cool like memory thing with someone where I'm just like, what's your favorite animal? An okapi? Great. Okay, that's Okapi Steven. Okapi Steven. I will
right.
somehow remember that.
And then how
Yeah.
do you look at them and go, "That's Okapi Steven"?
You know what, Azzy? What a great question. The system doesn't work.
Their Okapi cardigan?
I think I ask. I think I ask.
Yeah. I agree, Sith guy. And also feels very familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um and assuming she's like me, she never actually goes back and finishes any of those paintings once she's moved on to dinner.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. There's other masterpieces to imitate. Uh,
Yeah.
that could possibly make thousands of dollars on the black market.
Your story about the science fair project reminded me of another time when I clearly felt different from my peers.
Mhm.
Um, in seventh grade biology, we had to do like a big presentation project on a disease. We each picked a different disease, and there was this big list of diseases, like in the back of the textbook or online or something. And as a joke, I just read off the longest one I could, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, can I do progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy?" And uh, not actually wanting to. And then
Uh-huh.
my science teacher, to punish me, said, "Yes, that's your choice." And I
Right.
said, "Oh, okay. Now I'm actually kind of excited." And so I spent a lot of time learning about progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy, and I made this elaborately animated like presentation demonstrating how the once the JC virus is past the blood-brain barrier, it starts specifically infecting oligodendrocytes, which are the neurons that maintain the myelinated sheaths on your white matter in your brain that allow for smooth transfer of electric impulses. And Once it starts killing the oligodendrocytes and the myelin starts breaking down, and your brain then can't send signals. And I like had it all illustrated. I had the myelinated sheets, I had the oligodendrocytes, um, and I did my presentation. I was very proud of it. I'd worked very hard on it, and I normally didn't work hard in school. Uh, and my teacher's response was to get mad at me and give me a lecture about trying to make other kids feel bad, because he was like, well, someone's going to have to do their presentation after you, and how is that going to make them feel? And I was like,
Sucks
I
to
don't know.
suck, I guess.
Get
Like,
good. Also, what does it
educated?
matter? I don't know. I thought they'd be like, that's fun. Uh,
Incredible. There's like the education system, and I don't mean to
Yeah.
paint with like the widest brush on the entire planet, but just the way that I grew up, I am the least intelligent member of my family by far, by like huge stretches. It's like not even close. And it was one time I was talking to my middle sibling, and he was like, yeah, you're the most likely to be a valedictorian because what they're training for is people to fit into society, not people to be smart. And
Yeah.
while that's such a brutal takedown,
That's a brutal fucking roast.
I was
Yeah.
like, wait, you're completely correct. And it shattered things. And then I got like upset about it. But because I was already trapped in that track, if that makes sense, anytime I complained about it, people were just like, and that's the quality of a leader. And I was like, no, like it felt so Fight Club, where I was just like, you need to change
Yeah.
this. And they're just like, and that's what we want to hear. And I was like, and it was a very early dose of like how the outside world is, where it's just
Yeah.
like, thank you for identifying the problem. We're going to give you an award for bringing it up.
Yep.
And it's like, don't give me an award. Just fix the thing.
Yeah.
No.
See,
That takes refreshing.
I was and am not a good student. I yeah, maybe more like your siblings, whereas like I love learning.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to learn. I don't care about arbitrary bullshit. In fact, I find it offensive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember an argument I had with my chemistry teacher sophomore year. We had like nightly homework assignments we were supposed to do, just sets of problems,
Mhm.
and she didn't want to grade them. It was self-check, so all the answers were in the back of the book. And I, at one point, she was like, "You have a failing homework average because you don't do any of your homework. You have zeros on all of them. You're going to fail the class."
Yep.
And I said, "But I have a 97 test average. Why would I fail the class?" And
Mhm.
she said, "Because if you fail your homework part of the class, you fail the class."
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, look, I'm content to like have a 97 test average, get zeros on the homework, and for that average out to a B plus
Yeah.
or whatever. But she was like, no, it's just a rule, you'll fail. And we got in a big fight where I was like, but what? And I know this sounds like an annoying 15-year-old thing to do, and that's how she read it. But I was like, can you explain to me why I should be doing this homework
Yep.
if I'm clearly
Yeah.
learning the concepts and can perform on the tests? And she'd be like, because everyone else has to do it. And it's not fair if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's your assignment. You just have to do it. It's the rule. And then I'd be like, but you do realize that I sit in class most days and I watch a number of my classmates. I wasn't naming names, but I was like, I watch a number of my classmates just copy answers out of the back of the book to pretend like they did the problem sets. And like, would you rather I do that? Would you rather I come in here and copy the answers and lie about having done the homework to you so that I can technically pass this homework section? And she got really mad at me and didn't give me a good answer. Um,
Yeah. My dad being a teacher really,
Mhm.
really drilled both of those
yeah,
traits of you have to do it, but you're smart for knowing that for wanting that you don't want to do it.
Mhm.
And and I was like, you can't teach me both of these simultaneously.
that's such a confusing
Yeah.
message.
I'm I'm a wonderful student for things I am incredibly invested in.
Yes.
I like truly like I but the things I am not 100% invested in. I'm a pretty bad student. Um, I don't know. A lot of it just comes down to like I always want to feel challenged. I feel like a lot of that, like if I'm not feeling challenged, then I'm like,
Mhm.
well, it's just busy work. Um, and I know I have to do it, but why? But why would I do it? It's so boring.
Yeah.
I could be using that time for other things.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, okay. Good question.
We got a question.
We got a
We got a
question.
question.
That I know many of us have many
Hi,
thoughts
Johanna.
on.
Us talking about being queer and neurodivergent in high school makes me wonder, did you see I saw the TV glow, and what did you think of it?
So
I am okay. Full
Mhm.
disclosure: my parents are in Spain watching some sort of Catholic festival thing. They're Jewish, but they're just watching it. And
Yeah.
my mom sent me a picture of a thing that's in Latin, and I've been distracted for the last 45 seconds trying to translate it for her.
Okay,
So
so
I'll
we'll
let
hop
you
on
two
this,
answer first.
and then please let us know when you find the hidden Constitution of the United States of America.
Yes, yes.
I have a ton of thoughts about I saw the TV glow. I actually mentioned I saw the TV glow in class today.
I literally
Um,
texted you
you
as
texted me
after I
just
saw
yeah.
it.
I have become well acquainted with Sarah's opinions on I saw the TV glow.
Okay.
Um, I saw it twice in theaters,
Mhm.
and then I've seen it one time out of theaters. Um, and I really love it. Um, I we just because we were watching Buffy in
Yeah.
class today, and then we watched an episode of Erie, Indiana.
Yes! Yes, I've got it
Um,
on DVD. Love Erie, Indiana.
and
Yes.
I
I had it
was
too.
like, I immediately thought of I saw the TV glow and the pink
Mhm.
opaque, and I was like, I got kind of emotional for a moment because I was
Mhm.
like, I was thinking about all the shows that I did that with, that like
Right.
I made a part of my personality or my reality,
Mhm.
and like I already mentioned Power Rangers, but
Mhm.
like Power Rangers was such a big thing for me.
Right.
Um, and like I nobody in the fucking world cares about Mystic Force, and that's okay. Like, but I cared about Mystic Force.
Mhm.
I cared about the weird little magic season of Power Rangers,
Mhm.
and and I was like, wow, I really did put so much of my life and my personality into these like pieces of media that I care about. Um, and I I let myself exercise the things that I wanted to be
Mhm.
in these kind of thought experiments, in these creative outlets. I always played a girl in D&D. That was
Mhm.
weird. Funny. Whoa. Um, and then lo and behold, like these things come bursting out later.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, wow, I was thinking about that a lot. The class is history of film. Or sorry, history of film, television, and emerging media. Um, no, it's yeah, I really love I saw the TV glow. My boyfriend really loves it. My like I have a ton of friends who it means a lot to them, who really love it. I also understand not liking some bits of it.
As
Um,
he's preempting what she knows I'm gonna say.
um, but but I think
And,
it's pretty incredible.
and
Um,
I'm not cutting in to argue with you here, Azzy, but I think in my experience, vital to how you relate to I Saw the TV Glow and whether or not you enjoyed it depends in large part on how you interpreted the ending of the movie.
Yes.
So can
Mhm.
you tell us how you saw the ending of the movie?
And if you
Okay.
haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend
Yes. If you
Watch
haven't
it
seen
first.
it,
Don't
watch it first.
if
So,
you haven't
like,
Yeah.
you
seen
know.
it, go
turn off this
leave.
episode of Letterhawks and
Go leave, and
Go get a
then
glass of nice cold oat milk,
Yes.
do a lap, and then come back.
I I interpret it not which bit of the ending? Like
I guess, did you see the ending as a happy ending or a tragic ending? Do you
ooh,
think I'll be a little bit more specific because there's obviously also wiggle room in there.
yeah,
Um, is I don't remember Justice Smith's character's name.
Owen.
When Owen has that experience in the bathroom at the Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's
Mhm.
or
Uh-huh.
Chuck E. Cheese, and then like has sees what he sees, this light inside himself or the static inside himself, and
Mhm.
then leaves the bathroom.
Mhm.
Is he walking towards an acceptance of himself and a desire to transition and like a commitment to living that life? Or is he like resealing it up and walking back out into the same repressed life he's been living with no change to come? Because people see it, those are
People
like
see
the
it
two
very
main ways
differently.
that I've talked to people interpreting
I
it.
see that a sneaky third way.
I also
I
kind
can't
of
wait to
what's
okay,
your
let's hear the
Omar,
sneaky thirds.
what's your sneaky third?
Okay, let's talk about the sneaky third. A term that will be the biggest takeaway from this episode and will change
Yeah,
culture
what's your
for
sneaky
forever.
third? I like it better
My
than the secret third way. I like the sneaky third.
My sneaky third is the movie ends and I me as myself, someone affected by the film went, I can't wait. I have to go out and live truth. And that was just like a moment where I was just like, I was like, "Oh my god, that's a like I the sort of the chalk of there's still time was like kind of
Yes.
like burning my brain a little bit." And so while I can't really speak necessarily for the character, for me it's kind of like a third funnily enough we're talking about thirds, it's like a third cinema sort of thing where the idea of third cinema, and correct me if I'm mistaken, Azzy, because you're literally in film school. I've been out of film school for like 15 years, but like the films would end on a note to get you, the audience, out. It wouldn't finish. It wouldn't like hit a sense of
Yeah.
completion. It wasn't like a piece of music. It would end on an unfinished note, so you would go out and affect change. Like you would
Yeah.
go out there and do things, and it's a little bit how it felt for me, where it just suddenly cuts, and I was just like, I need to be myself. And I need to just like have my static out there and
Yeah.
just live. And that's how I was like, ooh, I felt very inspired by that. I
But
Yeah.
don't
how
think
did you if you had to guess, I understand you're saying that's not the point, but
okay,
in
but
your head, if you had to guess what
within that
that
sort of
character goes on to
binary
do,
of
yeah.
oh, oh my god, it's a good question because I worry as I want to hope that that's a moment of like because like he's walking and there's a chance he's walking towards the door, which means he can go out to the baseball field where there's like the pit still and get in and like do it. And there was like a rushed walk. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if you'd rush out that way if you were just getting right back in the swing of things. But I'm a little worried that like there's too much dedication to like the family that maybe exists
Yeah.
and just like, getting back
He's
into things.
I mean, even looking at it even through that third cinema perspective, which is interesting, and I don't know anything about film, um, but, like, I guess the question that raises for me then is the motivating force that, like, you have just witnessed a cautionary tale or that you have
Right.
witnessed, like, a moment of triumph? Or, like, which moment are
I
you participating in? Um,
ooh. Okay, so for my reading then, and I'm not here to say it for
You
everybody, but
cut out. What did you say, Omar?
for my reading, and I apologize about my internet,
it's
but
okay.
off of what you just said, Sarah, which is such a good point, I think it's a cautionary tale. That's how
Okay.
I read it, and that's how I took away. Where I was like, "Well, I can't," and rush out. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think I read it as cautionary.
I think I get most of it as cautionary, but I do think there's like a lining of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of like I don't know. I can't. I don't know if I know or have an opinion or really a take either way of what that character does at the end. Like what the intent is, what happens after the credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it was all about my response to it. Um, um, if I had to guess, if I had to put an
To pick
opinion
one,
down,
yeah.
um, I think both have meaning,
Mm-hmm.
because with the light still in the chest, it's like, oh, that's still always been there,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
because there's that bit where I never know what name or pronouns to refer to that character with
Right.
because it is a trans story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they're talking about how on the bleachers, and they're talking about how they feel like they've been shoveled out
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing inside of them anymore. And then at the end, they cut themselves open and there's still something
Mm.
inside of them.
Yeah.
Um, and I think even if they don't like go to the pit and come out the other end not having with like realizing the possibilities and not facing any of the consequences of the action that is inaction,
Mm-hmm.
but but even if they go home to the family and live whatever their false life may be, they still have something inside of them, and I
Right.
think that's really beautiful. Um,
And it's established by the way of, I think, like the Pete and Pete actors. I think Michael C. Morona and Danny Tamborelli are the ones who deliver the TV. I might be wrong, but that like to the element of static for me is so cool because it's an old thing. Like with new
yeah,
televisions, you don't really get that. I've seen a couple times where like I feel like they just put static there, but to be like
yeah,
channel doesn't exist or there's a disconnect.
yeah,
But the idea of old static is like an analog TV thing and quote unquote analog TV thing. So the idea of that still being in there and being fresh and that like existing, you're right. Like I do, that is the silver, like there's the lining of hope because I am like, that's an artifact of that era that we just don't have anymore. You just don't encounter it really.
I feel like you've given me another reason to maybe not like it, Azzy. Um, I really appreciate that
hmm
reading of it, and I tried very hard in this my old age of 32,
hmm
yeah,
um, to understand that clearly a lot of people are happy to engage with art in this symbolic way of meaning finding,
hmm
and you can sit there and apparently with no irony say like, yeah, like I don't know which one it was, but I think okay. So disclaimer: when I was younger, I didn't understand that this was an idiosyncrasy of my own mind, and I would
hmm
cast it out as a universal judgment onto art in the world. Now I do understand it's how my brain works, but I'm still going to share my opinions as though they're
Yeah.
universal judgments. So
yeah,
understand that I am aware of that.
hmm
Um, I hate ambiguity in art.
I
I
Uh-huh.
know you
really
Uh-huh.
do.
don't like it. I'm okay with ambiguity in real life because
Mhm.
real life is ambiguous. But the world of I Saw the TV Glow is not the real world. It is a
Mhm.
world that is created by the head of a human being, an auteur, in fact, who knows, right? You know,
Mhm.
you know which one it is. And if you don't, what are you doing telling this story? You haven't thought it through, right? Like, this is why I have a giant tattoo of a dragon from the Wheel of Time on my arm, because the
Mhm.
kind of stories I enjoy are the ones that take 14,000 pages to tell because someone is sitting there thinking through every little fucking detail.
Right.
Um, uh, movie. It's part of why I just don't like really vibe with movies unless they're kind
Mhm.
of silly horror movies or comedies, because you just don't have enough time to answer all my
Right.
questions. Um, I want to watch an anime and have a character who has a monologue sitting there being like, I finally understand. This is the way that power works in conjunction with this part, blah, 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 blah. And it's
Mhm.
like, yes, thank you for this rigorous explanation. Now I can sit comfortably and watch. Um, okay, so that's my fundamental issue with movies like I Saw
Yes.
the TV Glow or Inception or anything that leaves you in an ambiguous place as a
I don't
viewer,
Uh-huh.
like
because it's like
Inception either.
you
That's for
fucking
sure.
know the answer and you're withholding it from me as a piece of pseudo meaning.
Right.
Like, and part of this is just kind of like me being someone who comes from the world of like attempted rigorous philosophy where we're always trying to explain ourselves as clearly as possible, even knowing that we'll never succeed. And then I butt up against people who come more from this world of art where they're like, well, no, I'm like generating an experience. And I'm like, but we lived through that fucking experience. I don't need any help feeling existentially uneased. Okay. I want to know what you think. Um, okay. So that bothers me. And I
Yeah.
also happen to read it as a very sad, tragic story. I didn't, when I
Mhm.
watched the movie, there was no chance in hell that that character was ever going to go embrace that life. And I was surprised when I talked to trans friends who were like, it was
Uh-huh.
such a happy and hopeful ending. Um, Even then, even after all that, she still realized who she wants to be and she's going to make a change. And I was like, we
Right.
were watching different movies. Um,
Do you want to know what give the reason I think it's a hopeful ending, possibly?
sure.
Um, and it's literally just like a thing in the movie of the bit with the power line, right?
Uh-huh.
Where they stop and there's the like manuals and DVD like slide like covers for and the it's for a new season of the Pink Opaque.
Mhm.
Um and so like for me it's like it's like the prophecy has been set in motion and the things need to take their like it's like it's like to me that makes the possibility more likely that character
I see. That's
goes
so
and
fucking obscure. If that's what the creator of this film was trying to tell us, she needed to define her terms up top. Like, it's you need to repeat your statements repeatedly to make sure that the audience is with you and following, or and address any questions they might have. Um,
I you would be shocked, Sarah, at the amount of people that even at film school um take that opinion.
I wouldn't be shocked because it's the correct
'Cause it's
opinion.
correct.
uh, but okay, like the ambiguity aside,
Uh-huh.
I've empirically talked to enough people who saw it as hopeful that I understand
Yeah.
Yes.
clearly that's a way to see the movie, even though
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't. Um, the other things that bother me mostly about the movie, because I see it as a sad, really, really sad ending, and it left me feeling really sad. I just like I mean, it does come back to the clarity thing. Like, if you're a trans person and you were telling me about your experience like directly and vulnerably, and it ends up making me feel sad because you have a
Mhm.
sad experience, that's obviously okay.
Mhm.
But when you're like existing in the world of fiction as an artist, I want you to at least throw me the bone of like a gesture of a happy ending,
I
because
see.
as a trans person, I don't want to feel, I don't need to feel sad more than I do. And, and I just like, that's just kind of like aesthetic disagreement, I guess, I have with the creator, where it's like,
Right.
we don't need more sad trans art right now.
Mhm.
Um, we need sad trans truth, but we don't need sad like trans endings. Um, I also mostly hated the way that because the movie operates in this world of metaphor, and
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
inevitably gets askew from real trans experience. I think it starts instantiating like misinterpretations of transness or suggesting false things about transness that I think are
Right.
potentially harmful. Like there isn't, and in my belief, you can't rip yourself open and see the transness inside. You never will, right?
Mhm.
You will never have proof.
Mhm.
It's not a thing that's in there because it's not an there is no essence. Like transness is an empirically determined experiential preference that
Right.
whatever. That's less important. I hate that you have to kill yourself in order to achieve your perfect cis body.
Uh-huh.
That's like where this whole interesting artsy floaty metaphor of the pink opaque and the TV show and all and the sci-fi of it falls like drastically apart for me, is just that even the suggestion and the metaphor of the fiction that like what this character needs to do is kill himself and he'll become a real cis woman in like the
Mhm.
higher reality, because that's not what transness is. There is no
Right.
true cis woman out there waiting for you, little trans
Mhm.
child. Like the beauty of transness is realizing that this life right here can be whatever you want it to be. Like
Right.
realizing the malleability of the society. Like you're in this entrenched rigid society, but like your existence in life are way more malleable than they try to convince you it is. Like
Mhm.
your body is more malleable than they tell you it is. And just something about that really rubbed me the wrong way,
I
especially
love
given that you have to
no,
die to achieve it when
Right.
suicide in young trans people is already a fucking problem.
I think it's really interesting that you say that because for me, I think all those same thoughts as you.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, because I think that, and it's like it's the gap between where what I know and what the movie is saying is where I find meaning. Um, of like I know that there is no higher life that I could possibly achieve. Um, but this metaphor may give me the impetus to realize that, to go, there is no magic in the world. So we if we're going to like if this person can do it because there is magic in the world, there's no magic in this world, I have to act upon it in a different
Mhm.
way. Um
But like that's wonderful for you. Like you are able to experience it that way, right? But
mhm.
that's my problem with ambiguity. Like what in this movie, like that's amazing that you have that experience of it. You find that meaning. What stops someone else from watching that movie and interpreting it as like as a trans person I have been denied my true existence in the higher plane where I would have been happy and I have to kill myself to attain cis heaven? Like if that's an equally interpretable
I
conclusion from it, then
I don't
that's what bothers me.
I don't think it's equally interpretable.
I see.
I think that's I don't think it's entirely equally
It's
interpretable.
our misalignment here, which again I think is very much like a like philosophy versus like art
Yeah.
misalignment, is when I watch when I read an argument in a philosophy paper, but also when I watch a story, I watch a movie or a TV show, I'm not really worried too much about how I happen to be experiencing it. My thoughts go to what are all the possible ways someone might interpret this, and like how do we prevent misinterpretation from happening? And what are
Mhm.
the like dangerous conclusions that misinterpretations might lead someone to? Because that's how you write a philosophy paper. Like you make
Right.
an argument and then you think, what are all the ways someone might not be understanding what I'm saying? What are all the ways they might challenge it? And
Yeah.
like, what are like the strongest versions of those? And then how do I address them and either like demonstrate more clearly why they don't work or readjust my whole thesis because actually I can't respond to that challenge very well.
Yeah.
And watching a movie like this or my distaste for David Lynch movies. It infuriates me that
It's
Mhm.
just crushing
I
for
don't
me.
know, and I mean, basically, I'm not a big fan of Death of the Author. Like, I understand what the original essay was saying. You can never access the author's mind. You can't, and so you can't like depend on that when interpreting work. But I don't think the lesson of Death of the Author is that the author's intentions don't matter or get a pass.
No, no.
Anyway, uh, I I find that interesting. I find this whole conversation and thing interesting. It's a conversation as you and I have had multiple times
Yeah.
with
I
other friends,
mentioned
but
to I mentioned to friends here at film school, your issues with ambiguity.
yes. Ugh, God.
Um,
Or
I just want
the meaningfulness of something can't depend on the ambiguity. I don't mind ambiguity in a magic system if it's like
Mhm.
a horror movie where they're like, "It follows." I love "It Follows." It doesn't bother me that no one is like, "But, like, what is the monster? How does it work? Like,
Right.
where does it come from?" I'm okay with a movie saying, like, "That's not important to what I'm saying." Like,
Mhm.
"Let's say this monster exists.
Mhm.
Now let's enjoy this story."
I
That I don't mind.
I wonder if there is something because like as a I'll say I saw the TV Glow thing and then I'm gonna agree with you on like outside of I saw the TV Glow stuff, Sarah, because like genuinely have, especially in like fantasy settings when people are like this is a trans story and I don't have the same foothold necessarily like on like the experience or like perspective, but from the outside I'm also just like it's the trans people exist. Like don't say like this monster is this thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, okay. So I'll get into that rant in a second. But I wonder if there is sort of an almost like a priori esque setting for I Saw the TV Glow because of the sort of Buffy and Erie, Indiana and Pete and Pete source material. And definitely a lot of like I felt a lot of Twin Peaks
Mhm.
at times that the readings of those
Back to David Lynch. Sorry,
100
Sarah.
yeah, so it's going back to David Lynch, but, like, the readings of those materials and all of those kind of, like, put together and the way that, like, you read the end of Buffy, the way that you read episodes of Pete and Pete, etcetera, that kind of pushes it into a different, like, emotional spectrum for a lot of people, so when they're just like, "I feel good about the ending," because also really it's dredging up the endings of Buffy and stuff and, like, Twin Peaks and
It's
just
a
being a
very
fan of Twin Peaks.
it's a very intertextual
Yeah.
movie.
I wonder like without because for me it's so interesting because like when you're saying it, Sarah, and you're laying out like the kind of like practical rules of like the if this and what, I'm like, you're right. This actually is a little like like on like the surface, like like if
Yeah.
you just like laid out a workflow of like here's what she has to do to get back. I'm just like, oh, that's actually a little dark and probably, yeah. But I'm like, but what changes it for me? Like, what in my mind am I not instantly picking up on that? And I'm like, oh, I think it's because it reminds me of Buffy. So my brain is first and foremost thinking about how Buffy made me feel. So that interpretation gets pushed out, even though you're right that like on the surface level, if you are just laying out the steps, I am like, oh, that is kind of like encouraging something that I would
Yeah.
never personally encourage.
I can hear that. I mean, just a small note on that. They didn't have to go lie in graves and get buried alive or whatever. Like
Right.
the creative choice could have been we run to the sports field and then there's like this floating portal and you just have to make the choice whether or not to step through it.
Right.
I think it has meaning.
I'm not saying it doesn't like but I mean I also like really just don't vibe with the like figurative metaphor a lot of trans people have around death and like my dead
Yeah,
name and the death of my
Right.
past self. Like I
yeah,
actually think it's really harmful both
Mhm.
to the trans people themselves and also to how we're understood. But
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's fair.
but like of course it is obviously a part of people's experience. A lot
Yeah.
of people see themselves intentionally as killing their
Yeah.
previous self. But
What was your
yeah.
other rant, Omar?
Yeah, sorry, Omar.
Oh, just in terms of, like, when I feel like, lots of times when I and it's not like this I don't run into this often, but when I witness stories that are trans stories not told from a trans artist perspective that are like transformation spells and stuff like that
Yeah.
in fantasy and like in
Mhm.
some sci-fi. And there's a lot that I do like, but every so often I'm just like, it's like, well, there's a Gorgon, but the Gorgon really wants to be a caterpillar. And here's the thing. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, you could just tell a trans story. Like at that point, you've gotten so like much where it's like, but if I look into like the mirror, I turn into stone, but I want to turn into a. Or to do that, we have to go on a side quest to go get these things. And
Yeah.
I
I
also want to
agree.
turn into a side story.
I yeah, I mean, the way that's also, like, my current takes on this movie, which I haven't thought about. I saw the TV Glow in forever. I appreciate you asking about it, Johanna, because, Azzy and I love talking about it.
it
Um,
brought up the tagline of this episode, Sneaky Third. So thank you
Sneaky
so much for
Third.
getting us there.
um, yeah,
I think that's what they call polyamory.
part of the
Sneaky
overall,
polyamory.
like,
Mhm.
background argument that I've had with other trans friends in real life who, like, are more filmmakery transes than I am,
Mhm.
there's this because I'm coming at it from this perspective of, like, but what will people interpret? What will it mean
Right.
to
Yeah.
people who aren't us?
Mhm.
And they have a totally legitimate reaction of like, but trans people should be able to make art for us, whatever art they want.
Right.
And I agree, like in theory, 100%.
Mhm.
And I don't want us to like engage. I don't want to engage in like acceptability politics and make art that is like acceptable to cis people.
Yeah.
What I do think, though, is maybe right now in these kinds of crucial moments where we are in danger because people are able to misinform others about us and use us as scapegoats,
Mhm.
I place a lot of value on maybe like a clarity politics
Uh-huh.
where, as a community, it might be worth sacrificing some of our aesthetic, uh, aesthetic flexibility in service of like with each other and with our community members being as clear as we can about like what it means for us to be trans. And that's
Right.
just my take. Like everyone, it's also like I also subscribe to the broader anarchist idea of like you don't police how other people protest, fascism.
Right.
Like this is my philosophy about what would be an effective strategy. I'm not going to go tell this person to stop making movies like this,
Yeah.
though I will try to convince her that it might not be strategic.
Now you listen to me. Yeah, it's kind of like I love the X-Men. I grew up with the X-Men. I obviously
Love
continue to watch X-Men content. There is a thing where
episode 8 in
episode 8 when
particular.
Rogue says but it is a thing where it's like
Da-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na.
and it's a great theme. Great. Like
It's a
every
great theme.
it's also solid. Sarah, I do agree that like there is something where like there's a really fun element for us to acknowledge internally and have sort of like a fantasy place where like our differences are superpowers and we kind of get to be
Yeah.
like, if I'm otherized, I get to be like I'm otherized, but like also like I'm watching this thing of other people are otherized and they get to be Jubilee and Gambit and Jean Grey and Nightcrawler and they all get along and that's really cool because I am projecting my experiences into there. Now, if someone goes, you're a brown American and you're kind of like Beast, you're kind of like Hank McCoy, you're like a big scary thing, but if I get to know you, turns out you're actually smart. That's when I'm like, no. That's why we need to have
Yeah.
like characters like on The Office and stuff that are just South Asian American characters that are just there because if the
Yeah.
only touch point you have is Hank McCoy Beast and you're just like because you should be this wieldy like unwieldy terrible abomination, but the more time I get to spend with you it turns out you're not. I'm like that's
Right.
because Beast is a big blue monster. Like I'm a human
Yeah. The
being. Like
beast
it's
actually is that.
yeah,
Like,
that's the so like it's the kind of thing where I agree that like for us internally in whatever groups or like adjacent groups to have those things that we get to play with aesthetic, but there is a little danger when people's only touch point is something that's so abstracted
Yeah.
that they're like,
yeah.
well, you are this like weird fantasy curse. and we need to heal your curse. And you're like, what are you saying? No, that's just
Yeah.
a thing that I related to because of like what I like. Don't.
I, I really
That's not
like
my
that.
existence.
I really like that lens on the conversation, Omar, because it helps me understand maybe better where Azzy and I like differ
Hmm.
on this is like 100% I don't deny at all the ability to find meaning via metaphor and
Hmm.
like meaning via the ambiguity. I think I am more pessimistic about like other people slash broader population's ability to distinguish like this is so much of my one woman show is about
Hmm.
this like
Yeah.
people mistake the game we use to simplify things to understand an angle on it or to like
Hmm.
experience understanding with the reality and they substitute
Right.
in the game the metaphor for the reality without realizing it and I think Azzy is saying like correct me if I'm wrong this is what the meaning is. Like it is this experience of metaphor, like game, like augmented reality that allows us to find meaning in the chaos. And I appreciate that. Whereas I am just much more constantly afraid of like, but people don't realize that's what they're doing. And
Right.
what is the end result of them mistaking that metaphor for reality?
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. Yeah, that's always my thing against I'm not a Hitchcock fan.
Hmm.
But Psycho is especially objectionable, obviously. Um and
Disrupting a perfectly good shower? Also, showing a flushing toilet on screen is, in my opinion, too far.
too
Yeah.
far. Um
That's the one other movie I've seen. I've seen Riverdale and I've seen Psycho and I've seen Prodigal Son.
yeah. Um and I like it's it's that same
We should have
sorry,
an annual film
I
festival that Sarah hosts, and it's just select episodes of Prodigal Son, Riverdale, and the movie Psycho.
I thought about Michael Sheen sitting behind like the glass again, and I
Yes.
completely lost everything.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Psychos
I
is particularly objectionable.
yeah, because it like puts out that and it's supposed to be metaphor because they're like he's not a true transsexual.
Right.
Um, so it's like supposed to be like, but you're also using those hallmarks. So like I totally understand the fear of misinterpretation. But I think I have a very selfish point of view on it of like not caring
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Um
I, I think
um
in many ways that's a healthier point of view for you as a human being.
Mhm.
And I think in other ways, especially in this kind of thing, like anything that smacks of the philosophical or like the argumentative, I am so much further than the average person,
yeah.
like in leaning towards like I want to be as clear as possible. I really want to understand everything you're saying and make sure that I'm answering as clearly as possible.
Yes.
Like and in that way I guess I could kind of envision myself as like part of the sort of broader community like immune system against misinformation
Mhm.
Mhm.
or like mysticism that is
Mhm.
otherwise dangerous. Like you need a healthy balance of people like me in the mix who are going to be like just skeptical and doubting of everything and want everyone to get their terms fucking clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, if everyone was like me, we would have died in the savannah a long time ago. Because do you really know that that lion's real? But
Right.
um, so it's you need both. Um,
You look away from the lion. Does it still exist?
And then you need people who are capable of existing in the world of like metaphor and ambiguity because that is where a lot of beautiful art comes from. And like people think that humans are rational animals and that's our strength is that we reason. And I disagree. I subscribe more to the David Graeber like human as a species have the remarkable ability to imagine counterfactuals and like that is what allows us to imagine ways our lives could be that they're not yet. or to
Mhm.
question, do we have to do it this way? What if we do eat that fruit or whatever? Like that's
Mhm.
what makes us so good is we imagine and change. And
Yeah.
I think that like the ability people have to find meaning in the metaphorical and to appreciate the ambiguity is super powerful and necessary as like part of that human ability.
Yeah.
Just like movies aren't natural. You don't got to do it in movies. That's um I will give you
Yeah.
each a final word, a sneaky final word, and then it will be
Sneaky.
time because technically the stream ends at noon to end the
Mm.
stream.
Oh, wow.
So one word.
You could say a final point, a
Oh,
final
okay.
summation that I'm
I
not
was
allowed
gonna be like
that I
ergonomic.
you get a final claim that I'm not allowed to argue with for our 2 remaining viewers.
Think about the glow that you have inside. What's your static? And go out there today and absolutely celebrate that.
I love that. Yo, what's your
My
static, man?
What's
That
your static? Hey, you've been really abrasive lately. What's your static?
What's your static? I love that. I'm gonna start saying that.
I love that.
um a final point. I indulge in the mystery. At least for me. Indulge in the mystery, and I think one of the powers of film, the whole reason I'm so invested in film is it is a mostly safe way to indulge in the things that haunt us and that are dark and that we do not like to engage with so that we can think about these things rationally. um and then I guess the other half of my point is I'm really happy to be here and I missed you guys.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
y'all joined. I love that, Azzy. I just watched Maxine last night, and it finally allowed me to confront a lot of anxieties I've had about
Mhm.
what would it be like for me to be a 1980s porn star.
What would
Um,
it be?
yeah, and I was able to safely engage with those anxieties through the medium of film. And
I was
thank y'all
gonna
so much.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
you seem different today, Sarah. You seemed lighter.
I am. It's gotten a. I didn't even realize how much like psychic plaque had built up
Yeah.
Yeah.
via this
Yeah.
specific concern. Um,
Well, thank you, Ty West.
thank you. They give me a cough. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining. You're now members of the extended Chill Touch universe. So,
Whoa.
uh, come back whenever you want. If I don't hit you up, feel free to hit me up
I
if you
would
ever
love
want to.
to.
It's every Thursday at 10. And as you can
Amazing.
see, my official co-hosts have busy lives doing fun, creative stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for being here in the live stream or watching on the VOD.
And
As we
yeah.
say every stream, stay chill and